Okay, now we've reached step 8 of the video design patterns catalog entry, and step 8 is the implementation / sample code. So this is where you show how your design pattern would work in some sample code, and we're going to use Java for that purpose. In this case, Java being a good programming language. You're not restricted to Java, of course. You can use just about any programming language you want, and this starts off by creating an interface called link. This interface is going to be implemented by every link object in our example, and there's a public interface named link implemented by all the link objects. It has a method named check, and the check is going to return. The check method is going to take a Boolean value from the previous link, as you see there, and it's going to call the next link's check method with its decision. If it decides to veto, it's going to pass a value of false, the check of the next link, or if it does not veto, it's going to pass a value of true, the next link's check method. Okay, so here's the link1 class. When you create the link1 object, you pass it a link object that is going to be the next object in the chain. That object is stored in the variable named next. Okay, and it also has to implement, of course, the check method because it implements the link interface. So here's the check method, and it's a Boolean object is passed to it. If B is true, in other words, if a value of true was passed to this link1 object, then you call it's the next link in the chain's check method, also passing in a value of true. So link1 is not going to, in this example, is not going to cause a veto, as you see here. And otherwise, if a value of false is passed to the check method, then it passes on that value of false because, as you know, the link objects have to, if it counters a veto, they have to pass on that veto. But in this case, we're just going to actually pass a value of true to the check method of link1, and it's going to call the next link in the chain's check method, also passing a value of true. So here's the next link in the chain. Link2 implements the link interface. So you have a link2 constructor, and it's passed the next link in the chain that's stored variable named next. So that's how you connect up the links. You pass each link object's constructor the next link in the chain. You have this check method because you're implementing the link interface. It's passed a Boolean variable, true, false variable. If that variable is true, then you're going to call the next link in the chain's check method, passing in a value of true. Otherwise, if that value was false, you have to pass on that a veto occurred, say next check false. So link2 is going to not create a veto itself either. It's just going to pass on the value it gets. If it was a true value, it's going to call the next link's check method, passing a value of true. Otherwise, if we got a value of false, it's going to call the next link's check method, passing that a value of false. Okay, so link2 doesn't plan to do any vetoing itself either, nor does link3. Link3 is the same. You have to the constructor, you pass the next link in the chain that's stored as a link object named next, and has a check method because it implements the link interface, passed a true false value. If the value is true, it calls the next link in the chain's check method, passing that a value of true. Otherwise, it calls the next link in the chain's check method, passing that a value of false because the veto has to be passed on. Okay, so you have 3 link classes, and you're going to create 3 link objects from them, and that's going to happen in a class named test veto. This test veto class is going to actually do the testing for us of the veto design pattern code, and in order to do the test, you want to create 3 links, link 1, link 2, link 3, and connect them up correctly. So link 3, the third link in the chain, connects back to the test veto object. The test veto object is written to implement the link interface, so that's fine, that would work. And so the third link connects back to the client code. That's the way it goes because, as you know, the last link in the chain has to tell the client code what the result was. The second link in the chain connects to the third link. The first link in the chain connects to the second link, as you see there. So that creates and links up the 3 links in the chain. Okay, now you have to, because this implements the link method, we're going to have to implement a check method inside this test veto class, and that'll get the response from the links. But first, after you create the 3 links in the constructor, you call a method called getOK. This getOK is going to initiate the action down the links. It's going to call link1's check method, passing in a value of true. Okay, so in the constructor of this test veto program, I'm going to create 3 links, connect them up, call getOK, and the getOK method is going to initiate the message, which is in this case is just true, sent to the first link, and you set it via the check method, and then you have to implement the check method here of the test veto object, because that's going to be called, the check method is going to be called by the third link in the veto chain as you see here, and we're going to be passed a boolean, and that boolean will be true if there was no veto, false if there was a veto. Okay, so this is the check method of the test veto class because it's going to be called by the third link. And if there was no veto, you get a true value of true and print out OK. If there was a veto somewhere in the chain, you're going to print out a message of not OK. Okay, so that is the test veto class. You create 3 links and connect them up. The third link connects back to the test veto class. That's what this pointer means right here. You call this getOK method. The getOK method starts off the checking by calling the first link's check method, passing in a value of true, which means there's been no veto. The message, the true message, goes through all the links, all 3 links, and comes back to us in the test veto class, where it's called, where the third link calls the check method in the test veto class, passing in a value of true or false. If the value was true, there was no veto, and it will print out OK. If the value was false, it will print out not OK.